Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha.
Hello and welcome everyone to the Lama Life livestream event of Lama Tsultrim Allione. I'm Dreamy, connecting with you from Poland. What a joy to have you all join us here today. We hope you will find this gathering enriching and inspiring. And today we have Lama Tsultrim back with us after 2 weeks, and it's always such an honor and pleasure to have the opportunity to share this time together with Lama La and receive teachings. So without further ado, I want to welcome from Encinitas, California, Lama Tsultrim Allione. Thank you, Lama La.
Thank you, Dreamy La, and welcome everyone. Happy spring. I have the first roses from my garden on my altar. They're beautiful. This one has an amazing smell. This one is, that's my favorite color, roses, those sort of peach colored ones. It's just so amazing when it happens. And we got so much rain this year that there's a lot of everything, a lot of flowers. Thanks for checking in where you're checking in from. Berlin, Germany. Wonderful. Well, as those come in, I want to tell you about some things that are happening in Europe this summer and fall. I will be there, and my son will be there as well. And also Lopön Charlotta will be there. And so the first, I'm just going to tell you these retreats, and then Dreamy is going to put them into the chat. So the first one is in June 15th to 20th in German. Lopön Charlotta speaks fluent German, so she'll be teaching in German Kapala Training Level 1, which is the beginning of the Mother Lineage Path. And that will be at Berghof House, which is the new retreat center founded by Frankfurt Tibet House. I've heard it's really beautiful. So if you haven't done Kapala 1 and you're a German speaker and would love to hear it in your native language, it's happening. So then June 23rd to 25th, and this is a newly scheduled retreat and very exciting. They will be teaching, Lopön Charlotta, and I believe Pieter Oosthuizen, her husband, will be teaching Sky Mind in Poland, live in Poland. It's not going to be online, it's only live, but that will be in English and then translated into Polish, so an English speaker could go. And then we have September 4th to 7th, Trauma's Secret Instructions. That's for those who received the trauma empowerment last year. And then we have a more open retreat that I'll be doing. That one, the Trauma Secret Instructions, I'll do with my son, Tulku Ösel. And then September 8th to 10th, for the very first time in Europe, I'll be teaching the Machik Longevity Terma that I received in Bhutan in 2017. And I just this morning was reading through Machik's lineage in Jerome Edu's book, and I saw that she actually taught longevity practices and that she taught them connected to Salum, which this practice is. It has some salong in it, which is the yogic practice, particularly the breathing. So that is September 8th to 10th, and that's also at Berghof House outside of Frankfurt. And then on September 11th, the first time in a more open setting, I'm giving the Machik Chud empowerment from Rinchen Trengwa. And I'm doing that at Tibet House in Frankfurt. And so that's an empowerment, and that'll be the evening of September 11th. And then Switzerland, I'll be teaching Sahaja, Spontaneous Wisdom Retreat, amazing teachings from the early tantric period, and spontaneous meditation and practice. So it'll be sort of dialogue, teachings, and practice. And then October 13th to 15th, I'm teaching Resting in the Womb of the Great Mother in Italy. That retreat is already full, but it will be offered online as well. So all those links are going to pop up here. And yeah, that's all in Europe. So you Americans, maybe you think, oh, I've been wanting to go to Europe. I'll fit this in with these retreats. Great to see you. Wait, someone from Canada, San Diego. You're close, Lynn. Come to our Tara practice at 5 today. Monica from Crested Butte. Shoshana from New York City. Oh, I can't say everybody, but there's someone from Germany, Pennsylvania, Berlin, several Germans. Good. So you heard that those retreats that will be in German. Yeah, so everyone else, let us know who you are, where you're coming in from. And Austria. So today, I thought I would lead you in Feeding Your Demons, a live session of you actually doing Feeding Your Demons, and I'll be guiding it. So this I haven't done for a very long time, and I realized this could be really helpful to people and good to do on Lama Live, because people may have heard of Feeding Your Demons but have never tried it. So I wanted to give you an actual experience of it. So how will we do this? Well, if you can set up wherever you're sitting a place where you can change places to, that would be like a pillow in front of you or a chair in front of you, so you can become the demon or the ally. If you don't have that, don't worry. You can just stand up and face where you're sitting now. So that's in terms of setup. And then in terms of what's a demon, how do you feed a demon? Well, the demons are whatever is preventing us from being completely free, from being awake completely. It's those things that kind of drag on us. And so that energy that pulls on us, those are called the maras. And we all have them. So how do you determine what your demon is or demons are? Think about what's taking your energy. If it is a relationship issue, work with the feeling that you're getting in that relationship, not the person. who you might think is the demon, but we work with what's coming up for us in that situation. And the same with a physical illness. Like if you, let's say you have cancer, and the cancer's in your lungs. Well, the demon isn't necessarily in your lungs. It could be somewhere else. It's the feeling that you have around the cancer that you'll be working with. And so I usually work with whatever's up for me at that moment, like what's bothering me, what's on my mind. And then I choose that. So as I'm speaking, you can be thinking about that, and I'll also give you a moment to think about it when we begin. You'll just use one thing. You might think, they're standing in line. I don't know what to work with. Just pick one and realize this is a method that you can use yourself. So you don't have to cover it all right now. So there's a couple of other things that I want to cover before we begin. One is the difference between a need and a want. You'll be asking the demon 3 questions. What do you want? What do you really need? And how will you feel if you get what you really need? And so the want is the obvious thing that the demon is wanting. Like, let's say you have an issue with your weight and you're worried about your weight. And so that demon is telling you you need to lose weight. It wants you to lose weight. But what's the need underneath that? What do you really need? Then that is perhaps to feel safe, to feel loved. I mean, why do you want to lose weight? Because you want something. My cat is kind of going crazy. Siji. She never does this. In any case, do you understand the difference between a want and a need? Let me know. Put it in the chat. And so the other thing that I want to clarify before we begin is at a certain point in the process, we will be having the ally appear. The ally may be the demon that has transformed into an ally, but sometimes the demon dissolves completely, or the being that the demon has transitioned into is not the ally. And so then I will say, invite the ally to appear. And so if you at that point will open your mind and an ally will appear. And one more thing before we begin. If you get stuck at any point in the process, there's a little trick phrase that you can use to get yourself back on track. And that is the phrase, if I did know, what would it be? Let's say when I ask you to locate the demon in your body in the beginning, you'll find where it sits most strongly in your body, and you're like, oh, I can't find it. I don't know. Then you ask yourself, if I did know, where would it be? Or you can't see the demon in front of you when you bring it out to see it, when it's personified in front of you. You don't see it. Then you say, if I could see it, what would it look like? And so that phrase, remember that phrase, if I could, what would it? That phrase you can use at any point in the process where you get stuck. And this can happen because the unconscious can try to undermine the process of feeding your demons, because in some ways, our unconscious mind is attached to our demons. We have this full-time job of taking care of our demons and listening to them and fighting against them. And so when that process begins to change, the unconscious can try to undermine that. And so you can use that little phrase, if I did know, what would it, to work with that unconscious undermining. Okay? Okay, it sounds like people understand the difference between a want and a need. Okay, so I think we're ready to begin. You'll do this process with your eyes closed. And if you need to open them slightly when you change places, that's fine, but try to keep them closed the whole time. The other thing is that in feeding your demons, I'll be consciously bringing you back into your body in each step. And that will help you stay out of your head, which is important in this process. Okay, you ready? All right, let's take a moment before we begin. Close our eyes and think about what demon we're going to work with today. What's up for you? Is it a physical thing? Is it a relationship issue? Is it something else in your life that's bothering you? And we have chronic demons that come up again and again. They're kind of like core demons. You could work with one of those. Perhaps it's an addiction that you're fighting with often, or anxiety or depression. And just pick one and realize it doesn't have to be the ultimate demon. This is just an experience to see how it works. Okay. Now I'm going to lead you in some relaxation breathing. Breathe into any physical tension that you're holding in your body. Breathe into it and let it go with the out breath. Physical tension. Breathe into it. The breath hooks that physical tension and it rides out on the exhalation. Now notice any emotional tension that you're holding. Feel where you're holding emotional tension in your body. Breathe into that and let it go with the out breath. Now notice any mental tension that you're holding. Feel where you're holding mental tension in your body. Breathe into it. Any thoughts, worries, breathe into it and let it ride out on the out breath. And now take a moment to generate the intention to do this practice for oneself and all beings. May it benefit all beings. And generate this as a heartfelt intention, like really feel it from your heart. I want to help all beings, and by feeding my demons, I can move toward that goal. And now we'll begin the first step. Thinking about the particular demon that you decided to work on today. Perhaps recalling an incident when it came up strongly. Or perhaps it's up right now for you. Scan your body and feel where in your body you hold this most strongly. Thinking about a moment with this demon or an incident, and notice where you feel it in your body. Bring your attention to that place in your body. If this were to have a shape inside your body, what shape would it take? If it were to have a color, what color would it be? What color is it? What is its texture or consistency? What is its temperature? Now intensify this shape with its color, its consistency, its temperature. Intensify that in your body. And now imagine that that shape, with its color, its consistency, and its temperature, moves out of your body. And if it's helpful, you can make a gesture of actually taking it out of the place in your body where you found it. Imagine that it moves out of your body and is personified as a being in front of you, a being with arms and legs and a color. Notice its appendages. Notice its size. How big is it? Does it have a gender? What's the density of its body? What's the surface of its body like? What's its color? What's the look in its eyes? When you look into its eyes, what do you see? What's its emotional state right now? What kind of emotional state is it in? What kind of character does it have in general? What kind of personality? Now notice something about it that you didn't notice before. It's something that was there, but you didn't notice it. Okay, now we're going to ask the demon 3 questions. I'll give them to you one at a time, and you ask the question. And then at the end of the 3rd question, you'll change places and become the demon. What do you want? What do you want? What do you really need? What do you really need? How will you feel if you get what you really need? How will you feel if you get what you really need? And now, keeping your eyes closed as much as possible, change places, facing where you're sitting now, either seated or standing. And take a moment to come into the body of the demon. If it's helpful, you can take the posture of the demon. Feel what it's like to be that size, that gender if it had one, that consistency or density, what it's like to have that kind of surface on your body, whatever it had. And what does it feel like emotionally to be in that body? Once you're in the body of the demon, notice what your ordinary self looks like from the demon's point of view. As the demon, look at your ordinary self, and what does your ordinary self look like from the demon's point of view? And now, being in the body of the demon will answer those questions. I'll give you the beginning of each answer, and then you repeat that beginning and finish the response. What I want is, what I want is, what I really need is, if I get what I really need, I will feel. If I get what I really need, I will feel. So this is a feeling. If I get what I really need, I will feel. And now, remembering the answer to that third question, if I get what I really need, I will feel. Come back and sit in your original seat. And take a moment to come back into your body and once again see the demon in front of you. And now, being back in your body, seeing the demon in front, imagine that your body, your physical body, actually dissolves. And it dissolves into nectar. Notice the color of that nectar. The quality of that nectar is the feeling the demon will have when it gets what it really needs, the answer to that third question. The quality of the nectar is that feeling. And that nectar, with its color and its quality, moves toward the demon, and the demon is able to take it in, to drink it, or perhaps it goes in through the surface of its body or through the top of its head. Just notice the nectar getting to the demon and what the demon does with it. There's an infinite quantity of this nectar, and you're feeding it to the demon. Infinite quantity. Taking it in. And you may notice it beginning to morph into something else. Feed it to complete satisfaction. Feed it until it's completely satisfied. The feeling it will have if it gets what it really needs. That's what you're feeding it. And now it's completely satisfied. Notice what happens to it. If there's a being that remains there once it's completely satisfied, ask that being, are you the ally? It may be and it may not be. Are you the ally? If it's not the ally, or if the demon dissolved completely and there was no being left, invite an ally to appear. Invite the ally to appear. Now notice the size of the ally. How big is it? What color is it, or what color does the ally have on the surface of its body, or what it's wearing? What color or colors is that? What's the surface of the ally's body like? What's its skin or whatever is covering its body like? What's the density of its body? Does it have a gender? If so, what gender is it? What's the look in the ally's eyes? What's the ally's emotional state? What's the ally's character like? Now notice something about the ally that you didn't notice before. Something new you hadn't noticed. Now we'll ask the ally some questions and then change places and become the ally. How will you help me? How will you help me? How will you protect me? How will you protect me? What is your pledge to me? What is your pledge to me? How can I access you? How can I access you? And now change places. Again, keeping your eyes closed as much as possible. And become the ally. Take a moment to come into the ally's body and perhaps make the gesture of the ally or take the posture of the ally if you feel like it. Really come into that body, feel what it's like to be that size, that color, that density, that gender if it had one, to be in that emotional state, to have that personality. And look at your normal self from the ally's point of view. What does your normal self look like? And now we're going to answer those questions. I'll give you the beginning of each answer and then you finish it. I will help you by I will protect you by my pledge to you is My pledge to you is you can access me by and now come back into your original seat and see the ally in front of you. Take a moment to come into your own body, see the ally in front of you. Very clearly, its presence. And notice particularly the ally's eyes and the positive, helpful, protective energy coming from the ally's eyes to you. Take that in and feel that energy of the ally going into your whole body, spreading around in your body. Notice how that feels. And now imagine that the ally dissolves into light. Notice the color of that light. And then that light comes to you. That light dissolves into your body. That luminosity, that color, enters your body. And then that luminosity bathes, washes all of the cells of your body with that color, that luminosity. Feel it spreading all the way down to your toes. And that luminous energy of the ally in your body. And all the way up to your head, through your head, your shoulders, trunk of your body, your arms, hands, fingertips, all illuminated and cleansed with the light of the ally. Notice how this feels in a way that you can recall it. And now imagine that your own body, with the integrated energy of the ally, also dissolves. Your whole body dissolves. And rest in whatever is present after the dissolution. Just rest. Now come back into your body. Feel the presence of the ally in your body. Notice how this feels in a way that you can recall it later. And then as you open your eyes, keep the feeling of the ally in your body. What does it feel like to have that in your body as you look around a bit to the space where you're sitting now? Keep the feeling of the ally in your body. Thank you. So now you've had the experience of feeding your demons or feeding a demon. And perhaps you've done this before, but now you've had it if you hadn't done it before. I hope that's helpful to you. It is in a book called Feeding Your Demons. And there are also online trainings to become certified in this method. And there's 2 scientific studies out about it now that have been done, a qualitative one and a quantitative one. So if something interests you, you can pursue it. I'm glad it was helpful. And I thought I would answer a couple of questions. Thank you for sending in your questions. And our sessions are pretty full, so I often don't get to questions, but I want to do a few today. In a Buddhist worldview, which carries more karmic weight for the individual, our personal past lives or the lives of our ancestors? That's an interesting question because it touches on karma. And so our main karma is from our actions in our past lives and in this one, in the past of this life. But we do have many past lives that will impact this life. And we are also constantly doing things, creating karma that impacts this life. So that's the main influence. But the situation that we're born into is also karmic. It's called the karma of circumstances. So if you're born in a place where there's war, strife, that's also part of your karma from the past. Or if you're born into very pleasant circumstances, with good resources, and parents and family and so on, that's also a result of karma. It's called the karma of experience. So we are seeing our own karma in our lives. This is not to feel something like, I'm a bad person. If you're born into difficult situations, that's not the idea. The idea is that any karma that we're living now is being purified because we're getting the result. And so basically, it's over, or it's ending. The more positive actions you can perform, and positive thoughts and positive speech you can put out, the more positive will come back to you. It's really simple. It's a law, and you can't really get out of it. So it's like a scientific thing, like gravity or something like that our actions cause results, and we live those results. However, the word karma means action. And most people, when they say karma, they're talking about past karma. But what we need to remember is we're making karma right now. And so act how you want to feel in the future. In other words, if you want to feel surrounded by love and kindness, act kind. If you want to be surrounded by strife, create strife. It's guaranteed you'll get it. So, yeah. Let's see. Here's another question. What is the process for taking refuge vows? That's from Mary Jo in Stillwater, Minnesota. And by the way, that previous karma was from Pearl in London. Refuge vows you take with a teacher. Every Buddhist tradition offers refuge vows. I don't know all the Buddhist traditions, so I don't know how they're done in all traditions. The way I do it is to either meet with people or look at a photo of them. And from that, I give them their name. You get a new name when you take refuge because it's considered a kind of transitional new beginning. And you should study the 5 precepts: not to kill, not to steal, not to lie, not to become intoxicated, and sexual misconduct. Those vows you take when you take refuge. And you're taking refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. You are essentially becoming a Buddhist. That doesn't mean that you can't go to a sweat lodge or go to a Christian church and be part of that, or you can be part of whatever you want, but you're deciding that this is your main path. And taking refuge is very powerful. It's karmically powerful, and it stays in your karmic stream forever. And so I will be giving refuge vows at the end of the Sutrayana retreat that Polly Ryan is teaching this year. And so if you would like to take them with me, if you do that retreat, then you can do that. And otherwise, they're given. Many different teachers give refuge. And when you take refuge in one tradition, it's not like, oh, I took it in Zen, but now I need to take it again in Tibetan Buddhism. Refuge is in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So if you've taken it in any tradition, you've taken refuge. Some people have taken it but haven't gotten a name. And so then in that case, then if they do it with me, then I'll give them a name as well. This is from Marianne in the United States. I'm not sure where, it doesn't say. Learning self-compassion. What are the best tools for it? That's a good question. I think that self-compassion is really part of every part of Buddhist practice, any practice. For example, if you just do mindfulness meditation, that's practicing self-compassion because you are staying present with yourself. When we are not being self-compassionate, then we are beating up on ourselves. Another really helpful practice is feeding your demons. You could work with that demon of self-deprecation or non-compassion for yourself that you may have, the critic. You can work with that in feeding your demons very effectively. In Tonglen practice, the practice of taking and sending, in the beginning, you do it for yourself also. So that's another practice for self-compassion. Thank you. Here's one from Bogdana. How do we overcome fear when looking at our true self? So I would call the true self the ground of being and the luminosity of the ground of being, the radiance of the ground of being. And that there can be some fear that arises with the experience of emptiness of self. When you realize, wow, I'm actually not what I thought I was, not who I thought I was, or what I thought I was. Experience of emptiness can cause fear. In fact, they say that some of the arhats actually had heart attacks when they understood emptiness. And I've actually had one time in Taramandala, somebody passed out with that. So how do you overcome it? Well, by realizing that your true self has always been there. So it's not like when you realize it, all of a sudden it appears and everything changes. It's always been there. You've just been covering it up. So it's a matter of familiarity, like to experience emptiness. Let's just try this for a moment. Just feel that this I that you thought was I is actually just a compilation of different karmic impulses and history collected together in a bundle, a bag of elements with a consciousness in it, and that this self doesn't actually exist the way you think it does. So how does that feel? Is there some fear? Or is there a feeling of sort of emptiness or emptiness of the self that you thought there was? Yes. But then there's something else there. There's this vastness. This vastness is your true home. And it's cognizant. It's occupying this body right now, but it's not limited to this body. And it expresses itself as compassion. So that's really nothing to be afraid of. That's beautiful. But you have to get used to it. And that's what we do particularly in nature of mind practice, like the Sahaja retreat I'm teaching in Switzerland. We'll be going into that and experiencing it, becoming familiar with it, learning to rest in it in a relaxed way. Yeah. So I think that's all that I have time for today of the questions. Maybe I'll do one more. This is from Ian in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I don't seem to be able to keep the precepts at all, with particular trouble with intoxicants. I also have very strong theistic orientation in my mind. I'm not really sure how to move forward on this path in a genuine way. Can you offer me advice what I should do? So, well, Ian, that precept of intoxicants, not to become intoxicated, the thing is with that, if you break that precept, then the other ones are going to be broken after it. There's some interesting stories about that in the way Buddhism is taught. Of the monk breaks the intoxicant precept. Gets drunk and then has sex and then lies and then steals and so on. So what I would suggest with that intoxicant one is you go find a 12-step meeting. I don't know what your intoxicant of choice is, but just any 12-step meeting. And those are really good to work with addiction. If you can humble yourself and go, you can get help. And then if you can begin to not be intoxicated, the other ones will just kind of fall into line. Also study the precepts and the results of breaking them and just learn more about it. That'll help you. But also don't beat up on yourself. Be gentle with yourself, but also firm in that, if you're breaking that precept all the time, it's going to cause havoc in your life. Your life will be chaotic. And that's what you seem to be saying it is. Or maybe it just that you can't move forward on with your practice. So your theistic tendencies, I would read more about emptiness and realize that really there is a vast presence. There is a vast open awareness that we're all part of. I wouldn't call it God, though, because God, for most of us, means something separate, because this is part of us. And it's not a man in the sky, which is how a lot of people perceive theistic deity. So those are a few hints on that. Okay. Thank you, everyone. And great to be with you. I hope this was a helpful Lama Live. Oh, and another thing I should tell you is that we're going to launch a podcast. And I put out on Facebook, what do you all think my podcast should be called? And people gave different ideas. And we chose the one that actually came up the most for most people, and that is Wisdom Rising. So it'll be Wisdom Rising with Lama Tsultrim Allione, and we're launching that June 27th. It will have excerpts from Lama Live on it, And there will also be some material that's unique to the podcast. So the reason we're doing it is because we want these teachings and these meditations and the people that I've interviewed to live on. And so you can tap into them, find them whenever you like. And we'd also love to know what episodes of Lama Live you really liked. And of course, you won't remember the number of it, but if you can say like, oh, when you talked about such and such, or that will help us to choose, because we're now editing the Lama Lives to pull out some segments for the first 5 podcasts that we will drop on June 27th, and help us get the word out about that. And we'll talk about it more later, but we're excited about it and wishing you a beautiful Sunday or Sunday evening, if that's where you are in the night. Our group is almost finished in Bhutan. They have learned the dances from the lineage of Machiklapten from Tibet, and the melodies, the 35 melodies of this particular text that we've been studying, which is the core text of the oral lineage of Machi. Quite excited to have them back. We have 2 people from San Diego that are there. And I posted on my Facebook page, my public figure Facebook page, some images from them, and I'll do some more today so you can see. It's exciting. These are the closest to the original lineage of Machik that exists in the world today, I believe, as far as I know. So thanks, everyone, and let's take a moment, dedicate the merit, all the juicy, beautiful merit that we generated, all those positive thoughts and feelings. Let's offer that out to all beings everywhere. Thank you. And I hope to see many of you in Europe when I go this year. Okay, well, lots of love. And yeah, we love hearing from you. And thank you, Dreame, for all your support and work with Lama Life. Okay, everybody. See you soon.
Thank you so much, Lama Tsultrim, for this process of feeding your demons that you have offered to us today. It's always so special to be guided by you and also to hear you answer our questions. Thank you for your beautiful presence on our path and continuous dedication to benefit many. Thank you. And deep gratitude for each and every one of you who joined us today, either live or through the recording of this event. Thank you for being a part of our community, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon. And now, following the tradition going all the way back to the time of the Buddha 2600 years ago, you have the opportunity to make an offering of dana to Lama Tsultrim. Dana is a Pali and Sanskrit word that means generosity, and offering dana creates an auspicious connection and is a beautiful expression of interdependence between teacher and student. Dana directly recognizes the precious gift of the teacher and the teachings without which one could not practice the Dharma. If you would like to offer dana, please follow the link you will see in the chat in a moment. Thank you so much, everyone, and may we meet again and again on the path, and may all beings benefit everywhere.
Om tare tu re, Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om tare tu re, Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re.